Remember when earning $50,000 a year meant you were doing okay? In 2026, for most people, it means you're just scraping by. If you feel like you're working harder than ever but somehow getting poorer every month, you are not going crazy. You're being hit by a wave of hidden inflation that the official numbers just don't capture. Today, we're going to break down the real cost of living in America and expose how things like your groceries and your rent have secretly shot through the roof. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear is going to validate everything you've been feeling. The real cost of living in America is wiping you out. Remember, when earning $50,000 a year felt like you'd actually made it, like you could breathe easy, pay your bills, and maybe even save a little. Fast forward to 2026, and that same paycheck barely covers the basics if you're lucky. If you feel like you're running harder than ever on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, working overtime, picking up side gigs, and still falling behind or not imagining things, there's an invisible wave of inflation crashing through your life, slicing away at your spending power in ways the official numbers just don't capture. Today, I'm going to break down the real cost of living in America. We'll dig into rent, groceries, and everything in between and look at why it all feels so much worse than what the headlines claim. Buckle up, because what you're about to read will finally put words to the frustration you've been feeling all along. Section 1. The death of the good salary. Let's get honest about what a so-called good salary actually means these days. For years, $50,000 was the golden ticket, enough for a reliable apartment, a decent car, and maybe even a week at the beach every once in a while. Today, that number is little more than a cruel joke. Here's how the reality hits. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition calculates the housing wage, the hourly pay you need to afford a modest two-bedroom place. In 2025, that number jumped to over $33 an hour. But if you're making $50,000 a year, you're only bringing home about $24 an hour. The math doesn't add up, and it never will. Official statistics try to paint a rosier picture. You'll see reports of a $74,580 median household income, or $125,000 for a family of 4. But household almost always means multiple incomes, 2 or more people working, juggling jobs just to make ends meet. Plus, these are averages, skewed upwards by the ultra-wealthy. MIT's living wage calculator spells it out. A family of 4 needs almost $69,000 just to scrape by nationally. In high-cost states like California or New York, you need upwards of $110,000 just to avoid drowning. This is the chasm nobody wants to talk about, the gap between what you were told life would be and the harsh reality you're living. So where's all your money disappearing? Start by looking overhead. Housing is devouring your paycheck before you even get to the rest. Section 2. The housing trap. Let's not mince words. Homeownership, the cornerstone of the so-called American dreams, now out of reach for most. A staggering 77% of households can't afford even a median-priced new single-family home. That's not some statistical blip. More than 3 out of every 4 families are permanently sidelined. The reasons go way beyond supply and demand. The biggest culprit is the lock-in effect. More than 2/3 of current homeowners locked in ultra-low mortgage rates below 5%. They're stuck and able to sell and buy again without facing punishingly higher payments. As a result, homes just don't hit the market. What little inventory remains gets snapped up in bidding wars, driving prices even higher. The numbers are brutal. In Mississippi, supposedly a bastion of affordability, typical home still costs between $186,000 and $276,000. Jump to California, and the median price is barreling toward $905,000 in 2026. Hawaii, try more than $816,000 for a median home. Think you'll dodge the pain by renting? Think again. That 2-bedroom in Mississippi, it'll cost you about $991 a month. In California, you're looking at nearly double, $1,884 and climbing. Dream of living in New York City. Brace yourself to shell out $4,500 a month or more for a glorified closet. This crisis didn't pop up overnight. Decades of restrictive zoning laws have strangled the construction of affordable housing, while labor and material costs keep climbing. Builders can't keep pace. The entire system is rigged to benefit those who already own property, while everyone else is left to fight over the scraps and pay a premium for the privilege. Section 3. The Grocery Store Deception. If housing costs haven't knocked you flat, just look at what's happening every time you hit the grocery store. What used to be a routine errand now feels like a monthly mugging. You leave with less food for your family, but your total rings up 20, 30, even 40% higher than just a few years ago. But it's not just straightforward price hikes. There's a quieter, sneakier way your wallet is being emptied. Shrinkflation. You grab a bag of chips, only to find it's mostly air. That package of toilet paper, fewer sheets, but the price stays put. Even iconic treats like the Toblerone have changed. Less chocolate, more empty space between the peaks. It's a slow-motion ripoff happening right before our eyes. And most people don't even notice until their pantry or fridge looks emptier than they remember. This isn't some minor inconvenience, it's a direct attack on your quality of life. Your money is worth less with every passing month, and there's no sign of relief. Corporations quietly reduce portions while keeping prices high, betting you won't notice or that you'll be too exhausted to fight back. So when you wonder where your paycheck is going, remember, it's not just rent or mortgages eating you alive. It's every trip to the store, every utility bill, every hidden fee that's quietly siphoning away your security. The real cost of living in America isn't just high, it's relentless, and it's rigged against everyone who isn't already ahead. Let's talk about these price hikes seriously. Let's get real. Since 2019, eating out is nearly 35% more expensive. Meat, poultry, and fish, those have climbed over 38%. Even something as basic as grabbing a loaf of bread is emptying your wallet about 30% faster than it did just a few years ago. You're spending more and more, getting less for your money, and half the time, the quality is nowhere near what it used to be. It's not just inflation in the abstract, it's a daily squeeze that hits every trip to the grocery store, every meal out, and every bill that lands in your mailbox. Section 4. The official story versus your reality. So, if your bank account feels like it's on life support, why do the headlines keep insisting that things are getting better? You turn on the news, and all you see are reassuring smiles. Analysts saying inflation is under control, with the Consumer Price Index (CPI) for 2026 forecasted to settle somewhere between 2.4 and 2.8%. You hear that, and it's like they're living in a different world. Am I the only one struggling to keep up? You wonder. You're definitely not. And here's what's really going on. The CPI, that number isn't telling your story or reflecting your reality. It's a statistic crafted for economists, politicians, and press releases, not for regular people who are just trying to get through the month without falling behind. Even the Bureau of Labor Statistics admits it. The CPI isn't meant to be a true cost of living measure. It tracks a strange basket of goods, mixing luxury items with essentials like bread, milk, and eggs. And when it comes to rent, things get even more disconnected. The government uses something called owner's equivalent rent, which doesn't measure what renters are actually paying, especially as rents skyrocket in real life. If you want a clearer, more honest look at what living really costs, check out the True Living Cost (TLC) Index from the Ludwig Institute for Shared Economic Prosperity. This index strips out the noise and only counts the things you actually need to survive: housing, food, childcare, transportation, the true basics. And here's the kicker. From 2001 to 2023, the TLC index shows those prices have jumped way faster than the official inflation numbers ever admit. Here's the gut punch. The official CPI paints a rosy picture, suggesting your buying power has actually gone up over those years. But the TLC index tells a much different, much harsher truth. Most people are actually losing ground, year after year. The government says you're coming out ahead, but in reality, you're being squeezed tighter and tighter, and it's been happening for decades. The path forward, you're not imagining this. The system really is making it harder just to get by. So, what do you do now? Honestly, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and helpless, but the first step is to face the facts. Get angry about what's happening, and then get smart about how you respond. If any of this sounds like your life, if you're tired of being told that you're just bad with money, or that it's all in your head, hit subscribe. This channel is about exposing the real economic pressures and challenges that American families face every single day, and about building a community that refuses to accept the spin. So, how do you push back? There's no magic solution, but there is a way forward, one step at a time. First, become your own financial detective. Figure out your personal inflation rate. Ignore the CPI and the so-called experts. Look at your own spending. How much more are you really paying for rent, groceries, utilities, and gas compared to last year or even 5 years ago? Know your numbers inside and out. That's how you start to reclaim some power and clarity. Second, get absolutely ruthless with your budget. This isn't about skipping the occasional coffee, it's about financial survival. Attack high-interest debt with everything you have. That kind of debt is like a financial parasite, eating away at your future. Plan where every single dollar goes, down to the penny. Don't leave anything to chance. Third, let's build a real-life toolkit together. Drop your favorite cost-saving hacks in the comments. What's your best strategy for fighting these crazy prices? Maybe it's a budgeting app that actually works, a smarter way to shop for groceries, or a side gig that helps cover the bills. Share it. By pooling our ideas and experiences, we can create a genuine library of survival tips that everyone can use. The real cost of living in America is crushing people. That $50,000 paycheck that used to mean comfortable now barely covers the basics. The old promise, work hard, get ahead, has started to sound like a cruel joke when you're hustling just to keep the lights on and food on the table. Your struggle isn't just real, it matters, and it's not your fault. This is what happens when a system forgets about the people it's supposed to serve and starts serving itself. But now you see what's happening behind the curtain. You understand how grocery stores play their pricing games, how the housing market traps renters and buyers alike, and how official statistics can twist the truth to suit a narrative. Knowing what you're up against is the first step toward fighting back. Stay sharp, stay connected. Refuse to let anyone tell you your struggles don't count. This is your reality. On together, we can start demanding better.